Welcome everybody to the Horror and Gore Horror Movie Podcast. It's your host Dakota. I'm always joined by my best friends and co-hosts Lyndsey and Goobs. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good.
Good to be here.
I'm happy to be back.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are back.
The triumphant return.
You want to see what I did while I was gone?
Yes.
Of course.
I made Leatherface.
Hell yeah. With the little chainsaw.
Look at his hair. And his tie. His apron is removable.
That's awesome.
You need him.
That's cool.
And his
It's
chainsaw
now
comes
want
out
to
too.
need.
That's awesome.
That is actually pretty cool.
Thank you.
Is that the only thing you made this week, or did you make anything else?
I've made some other stuff. I'm working on a Bigfoot for a special project that I'm very excited about.
Ooh.
That's all I'll say for now.
So,
Stay
guys,
tuned.
yes, definitely stay tuned. So, we're going to do this episode a little bit different today. No news, no what we watch. We're getting right into our main topic. Our main topic is something that I've been wanting to talk about ever since I saw this Friday. And we're going to be reviewing Sinners from Ryan Coogler. Um, let me do a little bit of synopsis for everyone, before we get into the movie, our reviews. So the synopsis is: trying to leave their troubled lives behind, two twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. So this is directed by Ryan Coogler. This stars Michael B. Jordan, Miles Cannon, Haley Steinfeld, Jack O'Connell, and some other great actors and actresses. But let's get into our spoiler-free reviews. I'm definitely going to go last because I think I'm going to be the longest. Um, Lyndsey, I want to let you go first because you have kept everything a secret from us.
Okay. What I haven't kept a secret is that vampire movies are typically not my thing. I just don't, I've never had a connection to vampire movies. We did a vampire episode. I wasn't that thrilled about it. Like, not my cup of tea. This movie could have been marketed as so many other things. It wasn't a vampire movie well into an hour into things. Like, I think we got the first glimpse maybe at 45 minutes, and then like it was an hour and a half in before we start getting vampire-age going on. So yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna regurgitate all of the other reviews that our friends have already said, but like it was so many other things than just a vampire movie. With that being said, this is my favorite vampire movie. That's not saying much, but not only that, but it entered my top 5 movies of all time. I loved it. I saw it twice in the same day. So that's all I'll say for now. 5 stars.
Goops, you can go next.
Kind of to piggyback off that, yeah, this is so much more than a vampire movie. This is you could categorize it as a period gangster piece. You could categorize it as a little bit of a romance.
Mm-hmm.
Not a musical, but it has a lot of musical roots, so it's definitely, a lot of movies are over marketed. This one was definitely under marketed.
Yes.
And everything from top to bottom. My favorite aspect of it, and what I think is one of the most powerful and the most like standout performance, is the music itself and the score. It is fantastic. It sets the precedent and the tone, no pun intended, for the movie.
It was its own character.
Yeah, it literally played its own part because it was such deeply rooted in the story, in the social commentary, the pain throughout this film, and it was just fantastic. Beautiful to look at. Not one shot was out of place or put in there for no reason. Everything was done for a purpose and done masterfully. I loved it. Everything about it, performances from everybody. It just this movie will transcend as generations. Like, it's going to be here in 50 years, and it's still going to be probably still relevant in a lot of the subject matter, unfortunately, but it's still going to be an important story to tell 50 years down the road. So it's a generational movie.
I want to add a couple more things before Dakota starts. When I was going into this, it had very little curb appeal. Like, I wasn't a Michael B. Jordan girl. Like, I think of him, when I look at him, I think of Friday Night Lights. Like, he should be getting yelled at by Coach Taylor. Yes, I like a football show. Like, I picture him as that kid, and like, oh my God, like, he blew me away in this twice, like, twice. But yeah, the pacing of this, it could have been 40 minutes longer and I would have still loved it. Like, there was no being bored. Let me ask you a serious question. When's the last time you danced through a horror movie? Because I did not stop moving in my seat the entire time, whether I was just rocking back and forth, like being stressed out, or I was fucking dancing. Like, amazing. Loved it. Okay, Dakota, now you can go.
Yeah.
Before I get my review, like going off your Michael B. Jordan thing, I do remember Michael B. Jordan from Friday Night Lights. The other movie, I also remember him when I was.
He's in the show.
Yes.
TV show.
He was in the show. The first movie I saw him in, I was 11, and this was back in 2011. Chronicle. He plays one of the characters in that, and I've seen a lot of stuff with him. I've seen Creed 3. I've seen parts of the Creed movies. I've seen the Black Panther movies.
Right.
And he has become really big. But now into my review. I knew about this movie. I remember when this news dropped for this movie. That Ryan Coogler was doing a vampire movie. It was shot during the Jim Crow era. The premise was a little bit different that was coming off of it because it was supposed to be a vampire versus the KKK. That was the round of what this movie was going to be, and everyone was excited for that, just to think that concept. But when we got the first trailer, I'm like, cool, this is pretty cool. When that second trailer dropped, and I think it was 2 weeks, I didn't watch it after it dropped, and I watched it, and I've been hooked onto this movie. This movie was originally supposed to come out March 7th of this year, but this and Mickey 17 got switched. And after watching that trailer, because I watched it around that March time, I was really bummed that we didn't get it in March. But after watching this movie,
you were happy.
I fucking love this movie. This movie is my favorite movie of all time. This is my favorite horror movie of all time. Halloween 1978 can't touch shit on this movie.
Can't touch this.
This movie, this is not like what Goobs and Lyndsey has said, and a lot of our mutuals have said. This is not just your generic horror vampire movie. This is so much more than it's a gangster movie. This is a drama. This has a little bit of music in it, and I think it was mostly pushed of the vampire, and like you guys said, it could be marketed everything. The main reviews when they were doing the early premieres and stuff for this was talking about the music and the elements of Mississippi back in 1930s with the blues. And going to that, I knew about that, and holy crap, I have never been locked into more of a movie from beginning with this one. Normally, it takes some pace and issues for me before some movies know you get locked in right into this. And out of the three of us, I'm the only one that saw it in IMAX. I know about you, Lyndsey. I know Goobs, you have 70mm near you. If you get the chance to watch this, if you guys haven't watched this, Figureless or listened to it, Find your nearest regular IMAX or your 70 mil IMAX. Go watch this thing because this thing is so good in that. Because Coogler, when he shot this in regular. So when you do IMAX movies, so another horror director who just made his horror movie 3 years ago, Jordan Peele, doesn't open IMAX on cameras. He done it with digital film. Coogler done this with regular film, kind of like how Nolan does it, how Denis did it with Dune, and not only he done that, he done it with Panavision. I think it was 70 Panavision also. So he had two going at the same time. And this is the first movie I have seen that goes from your regular because you two have seen regular. So most of the time the movie was regular. But in some of the tense moments, I will explain to the tense moments in our spoiler part, the change in aspect ratio was chef's kiss, and there were some scenes it draws you right into. It's perfect when the aspect ratio changes. And besides that, let's talk about the score. Ludwig Göransson, holy shit, this dude is good. He's up there with Hans Zimmer now. He makes the Mandalorian soundtrack, and I love the Mandalorian soundtrack. He does everything from Ryan Coogler. He done Fruitvale Station. He done Creed. He done both Black Panthers. He does this. He even done Oppenheimer, and I love the Oppenheimer score. But with this score, it transcends into this movie and mixes with it. There were some times I was looking at the screen and was watching this movie. I'm like, oh hell, there's a song playing in that background. There's a track, and just I think it draws you in a little bit, and you're not noticing that there's a
You're feeling
soundtrack
it.
in the back.
Yeah.
Yes,
You're feeling it.
and
You're a
it's
part of it.
immersive.
From
And I think I'm really more entwined with this because I do live in the South, and a lot of this music is older South, the banjos, these blues, and that's what I just loved about this whole entire movie, and just the feel of 1930s Mississippi, the woods, the animals, like there's snakes in this thing, and I live all around that, so it's just like immersive for me. But once you get into the horror elements, the vampire, holy shit, it's good. This is so good. Um, I don't
oh,
want to go into more because I want to talk about spoilers, but that's about it for right now for me for my spoiler free.
Wait,
uh,
can I tell what spoiler I gave you, Goops?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I saw the movie before Goops, and he always gives me rat warnings in movies because that's my biggest phobia. I cannot do any kind of rodent. So Goobs is my rat man. I'm his snake. I gave him a snake warning. I was like, I don't want to ruin anything for you, but there's a snake jump scare. It's real quick. It's fine. Then that'll be it.
And it still got me.
I knew it would because you
I
can't predict a jump scare.
Yeah, I jumped so much in that one, and yeah,
I did too.
but I
So,
felt. Oh, I won't go into
no,
that because it's kind of a spoiler-esque type of thing. The snake played a really awesome part in that for just how little it was there, but the symbolism behind that snake was pretty cool too. So,
Yeah.
But I want to just mention, I knew that the music was going to be amazing from
Yeah.
literally the first part of the title screen when you heard that first pick of the banjo. And I was just like, oh shit.
You're
Like,
in it.
like it just like Dakota said, it pulled you in. And from like I said, that very first strum, I was like, oh yeah.
Like I looked over at the person I was with and I was just like, all right, this is okay.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
okay, before we get into spoilers, I gotta say one word. This is a masterpiece.
Oh yeah.
Duh.
It's perfection.
So we're going to get into spoilers. First of all, if you haven't gone seen Sinners, I don't know what you're doing. Go out, watch this movie. You guys want original horror? You want original movies? Go out, support this thing. Go see this in the If you guys want to see it in standard, see it in standard. But if you guys want to have the best cinema experience, definitely go see this IMAX. The way that Ryan Coogler attended all of us to see this movie. But now we're going to get into spoilers.
Buckle
I,
up.
I want to talk about the beginning at first because this is where this aspect ratio came in for me. That didn't for you guys. So you know when Miles is pulling up to the church at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
it was the full screen when we got that.
Okay.
So the whole camera scene of him driving out there, and you probably know that this is before everything goes down. I think it brings you right into it because, like you guys were saying with the soundtrack, but I think with the aspect ratio, it's showing you what 1930s Mississippi is like the environment and everything. And I think it changed once he got into the church. But I want to know from you guys, did you think he was a vampire going before he walked into that church?
I wouldn't say I thought he was a vampire per se. However, I definitely, like, you could tell we were about to be in for something, especially
No, go ahead.
with
Finish.
the flashes when he hugged his dad and
Mhm.
everything. So you knew something had to have happened, and we were about to get into some shit within this movie. So it set the tone.
I had two thoughts. One, I thought the dad was the vampire, like the boss vampire, and he was gonna have to fuck him up. Or I thought this guy just fucked up some vampires. I didn't think he was one. So
The
I guess I.
the only way I thought was I even leaned over to my mom to tell her this because you see how he was standing at the door the whole entire time until his father said, "Come on in."
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking,
Mm,
oh fuck! I'm thinking he's
But
waiting for
but
him to
that
give
to me was
permission.
too obvious. That to me made it too obvious. Like, of course, like we're not gonna learn that who the vampire is the very first moment. That's just where my mind was.
I didn't notice that though when he said "come on,"
Mm-hmm.
and then he moved. So that's
Yeah,
it. I could see where you picked that up. That's pretty good.
yeah, for sure.
Then we, of course, we get the jumps before the title card, the jump scares. I knew there were some jump scares coming, but I didn't. This that what got me,
Yeah,
and it's great to see that those are parts of the end of the film too, so you know when what's going on once you get to the end of the film. But if you guys want to go into some stuff after the credits, because this is when we start meeting. I think this is when we meet Smoke and Stack, right?
yeah.
I want to say that I we've all seen movies where the same person plays twins. Like that has happened before. From the very first moment that we meet them standing outside the car where they're like passing the cigarette and lighting it, oh my God. Like, I don't know what it was about that. That's one of the sexiest scenes I've ever seen in a movie. Like, it was just like so fucking cool. Like, and I mean, I was in from the moment I heard the music, but I was so excited.
Yeah. The what I wanted to get into with Michael B. Jordan, the performance that he did. So when you're watching this movie and seeing both Smoke and Stack, yes, they're played by the same person. Yes, they're twins, but he's basically playing two
Yes,
separate characters.
completely.
They have separate mannerisms, separate
Vo-
ticks,
Voices.
um, voices, draw, everything.
Yeah,
So for him to pull that off, and when they're on screen together, because I mean you're sitting there going, okay, when they're both on the screen together, it's just him looking at an X on the ground or a tennis ball or
right.
something that marks where he's supposed to look, and he's doing all of that, and it's just how he was able to pull that off
Yeah.
was
I've never
nothing
seen anything
short
like
of
it.
yeah, nothing short of amazing.
No.
Do you think that also helps, especially with Goobs, where you haven't watched more of Google's movies, where they have that relationship together? If this is the fifth movie that they have worked on together,
Oh, definitely. There's that rapport that they have. They know each other's style, they know each other's strengths, and they both play into it so well. And it's just like sports reference. Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski, they've just played, they know when one person looks that way, what to do. And it's the same kind of concept with them as filmmakers and actors. So, and when they bought that sawmill and when they bought it from the KKK, or the it was, they didn't know it at the time, but they had mentioned obviously the KKK with it, and they're like, "Oh, the Klan ain't around," blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You knew
You knew.
who this guy was. You know what I mean? But they still went and they still bought it, and the mannerisms of how they approached him when there was disrespect to it, it just played out through the whole movie with the two characters, with Smoke and Stack, and I enjoyed watching how they progressed throughout the film.
so before I get into this, I want to ask about you two a question about Smoke and Stack. So before this, have you two watched Creed 3?
That is the one I have not seen yet.
I've only seen the first one.
Have you seen Jonathan Majors act any?
Yeah, I've seen Jonathan Majors in a few things.
Do you think before Jonathan got all his charges and stuff against him, do you think the original plan was for him to be the other twin?
I mean, I could definitely see them two working together on this, because I haven't seen the movie itself, but I know the chemistry that they had in the film. People said it was really good in Creed 3, but as far I think I heard them say that no, that was never the plan, but I think that was always a possibility with having him and Jonathan Majors play brothers and do that.
Because especially if you see Creed 3, like when you guys do, the way Jonathan Majors plays that character, if you took the two brothers, a lot of people would say he probably is more of a Smoke because he's more serious. He's that, where Smoke is more of that serious. Well, I think Michael B. Jordan could play more of that Stack, but it doesn't matter that he played both of those characters really damn good. And and everybody knew on the set when he showed up which character he was playing. It was not be like, oh, them guessing that they knew because of the mannerisms he had. He changed it that quick.
Yeah. And it was just phenomenal.
I have a question that might be kind of dumb.
There's no dumb questions.
Would he be eligible to be up for like the same awards twice? Like,
Oh, I think he should get a Best Actor and Supporting Actor. Give
Right,
it to
but-
him.
No,
but
that
wouldn't
they
it
were.
be best actor as Smoke, best actor as Stack? That's what I mean. Like, could he be two nominees in the same category?
I don't know if they could do that.
I don't
Yeah, I
know.
was gonna
It'd be
say, I think they
interesting.
would.
Because
Split it up.
the only issue with that is another movie that came out this year. It's Mickey 17. Robert Pattinson plays Mickey 17 and 18, so they could pull that same thing. Also with that. But if you look, I'm looking at everything right now, besides Sinners, the only thing for Best Actor of the Year is Patterson as Mickey 17 and 18. There's nobody else this year I think that could outdo those two right now.
My thing is like slipping. My desk might fall over.
But if you want to talk about awards, I think somebody's gonna get a nomination. This is their acting debut.
Oh,
And this is Miles Cannon as young Sammy. Holy crap!
That dude
Phenomenal.
is legit.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of relevant. I heard that how he got the audition. He was touring with the musical artist Her, and he was touring with her since he was 16
She,
years
her.
old. Huh?
You said she and then her.
Oh,
It was just funny.
I know. I was like, there's a lot of pronouns going on.
Yeah.
But the musical artist Her called him and said, "Hey, there's a audition that I think you should go for." And at the time, he didn't know how to play guitar, but he knew how to sing his ass off, and that was the focal point of it. And then he did it. He sent in the audition. He got a call. Went out to L.A. Met Coogler. Met Michael B. Jordan. And then did the thing, and then he waited and then got the call back. But for him to do this on his first, like, big acting role or acting role in general, there's only one person that I felt had any type of comparison from first acting role, and it's the kid from the Holdovers from 2023.
Dominic Sessa.
Yeah.
Were they like at the college over Christmas?
Christmas, yeah.
Yeah.
That kid.
I love that movie.
Though, yeah. And I would even put, because of the guitar playing and the singing and everything, I would put his up just a tiny bit. But for him to do that on the first try, on the first roll, absolutely just ridiculous. And I don't know if this is, there's been comparisons that his character is actually it's more deep rooted into devil and sin and everything like that. Did you hear about that?
Are you going to a certain person in real life? Because I got a story about that. Yes, I know who you talked about.
So there is similarities from him to Robert Johnson, who is a real life person, a real life blues player, who is allegedly the first person to ever sell his soul to the devil. And he sold his soul to be the best blues player and guitar player out there.
Can I tell the story?
Yeah, I just know that there's a legend of him going to the crossroads. He was a poor traveling person, and then all of a sudden but yeah, if you have more deep intel on the actual story, but yeah, this movie has so many layers to it. It's just absolutely nuts.
Before you guys say, if you guys are watching the video, I'm gonna have goosebumps from this right now. Every time I hear about Robert Johnson recently, especially two reasons. And I'm gonna go, and it goes into the Hindu type of thing also. And but first, if you want to do your American thing, what a lot of Americans.
Before we move on, can I say something about selling your soul to the devil?
Yeah.
The Devil Went Down to Georgia by the Charlie Daniels Band is one of my karaoke songs. I know every single word. So, go on.
So that's a banger.
So if you take the American, like what the Americans believe, is that back in the 1920s, because he passed away around 1930. Robert Johnson was going from juke joint to juke joint, trying to become a famous blues player. He was horrible. They say he was awful. They had to push him out. People wanted to push him out. One day when he was leaving the juke joints, like Goose was saying, he was walking. It was around midnight. He just lost his wife at the time, so he's down in his dumps. He comes across this crossroads in Mississippi. Hits midnight. He sees this man standing in the middle of the road, and this man is like, and I'm getting goosebumps from talking about this right now. He asks him. He's like, "What's wrong?" He's like, "My wife just passed away. People say I can't play the blues whatsoever." And the man's like, "Do you need to take your guitar and tune it up for you?" And he tunes it up for him, but he's like, "I need one thing from you. And it's like, I need your soul. And Robert Johnson knew right then that he was talking to the devil. So it goes on and he plays out, but in 1930s, because he's gone for 18 months at this time, and he comes back. Because there's three stories about this. Two stories about the first, this one, another one, and then what people actually believe. And he comes back with a woman. But later on, this woman is actually married, and the husband finds out that she's with Robert Johnson. He poisons him at the time because Robert Johnson loves moonshine, and this is the Prohibition era. So they don't know if it was poisoned moonshine by him or if the moonshine was just bad. So he died at the age of 27.
Yeah.
But they also think that his soul was coming back, the devil. So how gets into Hindu is that Papa Legba is the most evil demonic spirit in Hindu. And like in Hindu lore, at the crossroads, he's the first person that you meet. He protects the crossroads before you even meet the devil and everything. You talk to him. And people wonder if that night he actually talked to him. And they said that he is even worse than the devil. Like, he will con you, he will sweet talk you into certain things, and he will take you away just like that. Like, even have the devil, no, they normally say, like, the devil says, oh, you could take 3 years or 5 years and make you like this, and I will come back and take and we will agree on this agreement. That's it. No, they say this other dude can tell you 5 years, but 2 days later, if he wants to, he can do whatever he wants. He's a trickster. He's a trickster demon from the hoodoo legend.
Yeah.
And I knew about this dude because there was one time a girl with a Ouija board. They were playing the Ouija board and they thought they were talking to a demon, right? No, this girl does something, ends up dead 2 days later, and they're thinking that she actually communicated with him. And I know once I knew about that, it scares me to think about this dude because they say, especially with voodoo and Hindu stuff, you don't fuck with that shit. That's the
Yeah.
most evil shit out there.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, what people actually believe is that Robert Johnson met this name. I forgot what his name is. He teach them how to play guitar in those 18 months, came back. But I thought, what about, because they said he was this dude was in the middle of the crossroads that night. I was wondering if this dude was disguised as the devil the whole entire time. Taught him, because you know how they always say the devil shapeshifts.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if is the devil acting like he was somebody else done the soul, because if you look at Robert Johnson's, he has Crossroads Blues, um, The Devil and Me, Hellhounds, everything is connected to if you made a deal with the devil at the crossroads.
Yeah.
So, and can I tell you guys how I think this is connected to Sammy? Because I just saw this today, and it goes into the very end. If you guys, or do you guys want to wait till to the very end?
Oh, just go, man.
So you see how he's holding the guitar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is how it's connected to Robert Johnson. The third pit, because there's 5 strings on the guitar, right, on your banjo. The 6th one the devil made for him. I'm wondering if when he's holding that guitar, if he actually made the deal with the devil at the crossroads, and he's holding that guitar on for dear life because he knows if he lets that thing go, he has lost everything. He can't have that musical career that he wants. Because you see in the movie when she says, there's sometimes when you play there, you channel stuff from the past and present and call to the devil. And I think that's what it was. I think that 6th string brought the whole timeline in, and it also paid attention to Ramek, or is it, no, Remick, right?
Remick, yeah.
Because of course Remick is evil, and evil can recognize evil, and I think that's what he was doing that night at the juke joint.
Yeah. I think so. I have kind of a thing with the guitar and why he was holding it. So I guess we're going to jump around in the movie because this goes back to when they're driving back after they pick up. Oh God, what is this? I can't even remember his
Cornbread?
name. No, not Cornbread. The guy before. Oh, why can't I remember his name?
Oh, Delta Slim.
Yeah, Delta Slim. So they pick him up, and as they're coming down, they're driving through the plantations and coming back. They drive by the chain gang basically, and they're like, "Do you know them?" He's like, "I know every one of them," and they kind of go into this history of a lot of layers throughout this car ride, and he mentions in the story that or they mention in the conversation that his dad's a pastor. That's why they call him Preacher Boy. And he goes, "Well, you know that when we came over here, that wasn't our religion. It wasn't it. We were told that that's our religion as far as Christianity and everything like that, but it wasn't the it wasn't their religion there, and so it was told that they had to do it." So when at the end, when he's hugging him and saying, "Drop the guitar and give your life to the Lord," well, that's not my religion. That's not my God. And going back to the black culture that they had before, they were subjugated to everything that they had been subjugated to from white people and everything like that. So he kept that guitar because he didn't want to submit to that religion and that God because it wasn't there. So he kept his culture, kept his beliefs, and that's why he left with the guitar and left to go tour. So it kind of had like a super deep meaning behind keeping your culture, understanding where you came from and holding on to that and not giving it up for what has been sold to be yours when it's not. You know what I mean? That's kind of where my thought process was and why he was like, "I'm not getting rid of this guitar because this is my history. This is who I am and who we are until everything had happened and what we were subjugated to." And also there's a lot of other symbolism with that, with the vampires outside the juke joint, and we can get into that as well. But did you guys have any, did you think anything like that of why he kept the guitar from the callbacks from stuff like that? Or
Yeah, I had the same thoughts where it was like I can't give it up. Like it's not an option.
yeah, because he was so connected with the
It's
music,
who he was.
and that's who he was. And I think it kind of solidified itself into his mind that yes, this is what I am and what is mine, was with that conversation saying that's not your religion, that's their religion.
Mm-hmm.
And when his dad said just submit to Jesus and the Lord, it's like, well, that's not who I am. I'm gonna go be who I am.
Mm-hmm. And he fucking did it.
Yeah.
At first, I thought it was that because after that, I heard about the Robert Johnson stuff, right? And I thought, okay, this is what people were just connecting Sammy with. But then in an interview I saw yesterday, Ryan said he got his inspirations from Sammy from Robert Johnson. So that's why I thought the guitar was the main thing.
Yeah.
And because you said how you submit to God, right? How is that saying to that? What about if the devil has a soul? There's no soul to submit to God at the time because the devil has it, and he has to keep a hold of what the devil gave him because he can't submit nothing.
That's true.
And I think this really pulls because I'm going to wait till talk about the post credit and credit scene, like mid and end credit scene, because you two stayed for both of those scenes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would explain more of that once we get to those because I don't want to jump too quite into
Mm.
both of those quite yet. But before when we first meet Delta Slim, this dude, or even before we even meet Delta Slim, when we meet who's the friend that they know that owns the market, him and his
Oh,
wife.
the Chose?
Yeah, the Chose.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
remember. Yeah.
I'm gonna pull up the names of everybody.
Yeah, it looks like Bo. His name was
yeah, Bo.
Bo, and then her name was Lisa.
So Bo. So if you look at the
Oh no, that
two,
was the daughter. Sorry.
Go on, Dakota.
Yeah,
but
go
if
on.
you
Sorry.
look at the two, um, Bo, I think knew what was going to happen because you know how Stag told the little girl, honk the horn if there's anything wrong, right?
I
And
loved
he's
that
going off, he's
interaction.
doing something, and
Yeah.
when he comes back, and Bo, I think hears the gunshot of what. First
Mhm.
of all, the whole entire interaction, he shoots the dude in the ass, and he's like, "Who the fuck just shot me?" And I see her around. He's like, "Oh, it's you, Stack." The girl's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I told him." And the dude just stay over there, and the corner that helped him, and he just shoots him, and he's like, "Oh, why the fuck did you just do that to me?" I busted out laughing. I couldn't help myself. Um, but I think when Stack went to the shop, Bo knew who was there the whole entire time, even though he was shocked. Because there's only two brothers that could do that and all of that in Delta, and it's those two brothers right there. Because those are the two troublemakers of the town, especially with Stack.
Yeah. What I liked about that interaction with the girl.
Yeah, I want to
Um,
talk about that too. Yeah.
yeah,
No,
you
go
can go
ahead.
first, and then I can piggyback off you.
Well, I just love. I have a soft spot for any like rough man that's like sweet to a little girl. Like she was just a young girl, and like he was like, no, you're gonna ask me for more money, and he like had the negotiation talk. Like that was so sweet, and I really loved that. That was all. Just I thought that was a nice touch to it. Added another layer. This guy has a
Yeah,
heart.
yeah, and that's what I was going to go through and just say, the negotiation, and then when you know, it showed what type of character he was.
Yeah.
If you look at the other later on, when they're at the juke joint where they paid with the slave money and
Hmm.
the wooden pellets, uh, Stack was going to just take, well, yeah, take it. You worked hard for it, but then Smoke was like, no, that's not how we're going to do it. So you could tell how they run businesses, how their mind works with
Yeah.
certain things, and it just added another layer to his character,
Hmm.
along
I
with
loved it.
the other character at the same time. Looking back at it, it, yeah. There's so many. He deserves everything for this movie.
I think also the negotiations when he's like, "Oh no, we got to negotiate." It shows his character of how they were when they were with Capone in Chicago, because the mob and the gangsters at that time, a lot of negotiations went on, and I think it shows that in his character that they did have this life 7 years before, and they're deep diving into that without actually showing us.
I mean that's negotiations or business in general. So yeah, it was just showing that he's passing on knowledge.
Yeah,
But okay, after they talk, I even love the deal of between him and the wife about the sign and everything.
yeah,
But once we get to the train station, we meet Delta Slim, right? He's like, "Oh man," he's like, "You better listen up." He's like, "I got Irish beer," and then Delta Slim's like, What you got?"
Is that a beer?
yeah.
He's like, "What?" He's like, "This is Irish beer." He's like, "Let me try it." He's like, oh man, if you help me tonight, I got like 8,000 of these with me, and I'm thinking, fuck, how the fuck you get 8,000 of these with me? But also, Haley Steinfeld as Mary. I've seen
I
her
have
in
to
many
talk
things.
about
I've
this.
seen you talking is the scene. First of all, I was not thinking it was going to go this provocative of when she walked up and she's like, I don't know if I want to say the line though. Okay, I'm gonna say the line. She's like, "Oh yeah, when you stuck your tongue in my coos and you fucked me so hard." I'm like, "What the fuck?" I looked over at my mom and she looked at me. I'm like, "I'm so sorry I took you to this movie."
they they I totally agree with you. I was not expecting the eroticness throughout this film and the sex. Like within the first 30 minutes there's dialogue on eating coochie. Like
I mean, let me just say, as a foul-mouthed woman, I fucking loved it. Like, she walks up and she says, and he's like, "Why are you here?" or whatever. And she's like, "Look, you laid it down. You told me everything I've wanted to hear." I'm ad-libbing, obviously. And I love you. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? Why am I here? Like that her whole I loved it. That is why I saw it twice. I wanted to
And,
see that again.
and her mama, and there she's like, "Oh, I buried my mama," and then he's like, "Yo, well, me and Smoke, we just took advantage of your mama and everything." But you can tell that there's still a connection there. If he still
yeah,
loves her, but he knows he has to stay away from her.
yeah,
But then get more into more provocative when we're heading down the cotton fields. This is when the aspect ratio changes also. Of when they're
okay,
driving, it expands and so it shows
yeah,
the whole. At first, it shows because when Kugler is shooting with Panavision, this is why you see most of the fields. You see like the horizontal
yeah,
fields. That's what you want to do with the film of getting the everything, showing you everything. But when he expands out with the aspect ratio, you're seeing really everything with that Panavision
yeah.
and IMAX. But once they meet Cornbread, and the other line of when they're talking, he's like, "Man, if you get this money, your wife will, you would let your I can't
Might
say
even
it.
might even
Your
let you put your pecker in her mouth.
I started laughing. I'm like, "What the?"
And he was like, "I'm gonna get you." And then her first reaction, "Well, how much money?"
Yeah, she
Like,
said, "How much money?"
like
Okay.
the
I'm listening.
yeah, it was
Or before
there
that,
was
even when he's like, "You better listen the fuck up," and he's like, she better listen the fuck up too. And I'm thinking, "Oh fuck, you mess with me." I'm thinking, "Dude, you just told this wife, or even shut the fuck up." I think that's what he told her and him. I think you just told this dude's wife to shut the fuck up. I'm thinking, "Oh fuck."
Hmm. Yeah, that wasn't cool.
yeah,
But he had to get his attention. He's like, "You want your money?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "It might be enough money." She let her put your pecker in her mouth, and she's like, "Oh yeah, how much money were you talking about?" Thinking, fuck.
yeah. There
And Sam
there
just sit in the car back here the whole entire time and stay in both those seats. I think his Sam's like, "What the fuck did I get into?"
Love it.
yeah,
But once we get to the juke joint, because they of course are driving to the juke joint, right? This is when we go to Smoke because he has the truck. Um, Goobs, can you explain that snake thing? Because you say you want to explain that real quick.
so yeah, when they go up to the truck and they come to find out, they lifted a lot of the stuff from the truck, and they had quite a few other things in there other than just booze and alcohol. But when that snake popped up, snake the snake was the original, if I'm not mistaken. I could it paraphrasing and pretty close. Snakes represent the original sin. Adam and Eve. The snake gives Adam the forbidden fruit from the apple tree, and basically causes man's first sin, because it was, the
Mm.
Garden of Eden. Hey, you can have
Yes.
anything you want, but this apple tree, don't fucking touch it. They were there. They had everything they could want, and then this snake this slithery snake.
I was gonna do it.
This snake
Oh, snake.
persuaded them to commit man's first sin.
Mhm.
And being the movie called Sinners, and just throwing another element of the first sin and those sort of things within religion. And I know this is based off a lot of Christianity along with other types of religion as far as and spirituality. It's a very spiritual movie,
Very.
amongst everything. But that snake popping out with both of them, and then having them, and when it pans to it after he, stabs it, and it pans to it, and it's kind of, thought I had to sneeze, kind of slithering and dying, and it pans into it. It just adds this like extra element of it, and it was just jump scared the shit out of me. But it was just that symbolism of the first sin, Sinners being the movie, a lot of religious. Snake is, basically representative of a lot of devil. That's what do they call it? It's the
Serpent.
there's another, yeah, the devil serpent and that sort of thing. So it just ties a lot into that, the themes of the movie, and it's so subtle too because it's just a little like 3-minute thing.
Another little touch was when she was making the sign, the paint that was available was red.
Yeah, and red is, yeah.
So then we go Smoke, and Smoke goes to this little shack. And we find out, before he goes in the shack, we see this rock with a handprint on it. And he puts flowers. At this time, we know that Smoke killed him and Stack's father. Because Stack explains this to Sammy. So when I first saw this, I thought, is he really putting flowers on his dad's grave? After killing him all those years ago, but we find out that he lost a child. He lost a baby. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking, how is this connected? Like, who's the mother? And of course, we find out later on that Annie is the mother. And they get in there, they're talking, holy fuck, you want to talk about some erotic shit? Them just fucking around in the shack. I wasn't expecting that either.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
I
know,
have to say
you
something
know
real
how
quick.
it's so uncomfortable to sitting there with your mom while two people are fucking on the screen? It's so uncomfortable.
No. What's hilarious is the person I was with, they said, "Oh my," I'm not gonna be able to stop laughing. They said, "Oh my god, I thought that was his mom."
Yeah.
I lost it.
But
Yeah.
if you want to talk about the Hindu stuff, no, not Hindu. Be Hindu something else. But like all the Haitian stuff. I'm sorry if I've been saying Hindu the whole entire time. I mean, all like the Haitian stuff.
Yeah.
Annie is really into all of this, and she shows that side of the
Yeah.
little mojo bag that
She
Smoke has been carrying around.
she was one of my favorite characters of the whole movie. Her so when you have those type of characters like the witchy characters and the voodoo characters, they're always presented as and represented as like the crazy ones, or they're very over the top. Her character was so grounded and just so
Yes.
it was powerful to watch, and throughout the whole movie she was so set in her roots and what she believed in. But she, like I said, it wasn't an over the top performance. It wasn't, how a lot of that type of characters, the voodoo characters, those old Southern witches
Mm-hmm.
portrayed in film. And I really loved how
I thought she was like, she had a beautiful soul and you could see
yeah,
that.
Yeah. And this whole movie is just rooted in pain and fucking um the just pain and grief and also guilt, everything. And their relationship had all of it. The pain from losing the child. He left to go do the stuff in Chicago. There was guilt of him leaving and coming back, and just it was just their connection was. I cried when I saw the babies thing, and just it fucking killed me in the way that it kept going, and how a tragedy like that can also keep you down, keep you grounded, and keep you steadfast in where you're going. And it kind of was that way. She said that, when he said, where were your roots for our baby? She said, I didn't have any at that time, but you still have your mojo bag, right? And you're still here. So it kind of, regardless of the trials and the pain that she suffered with what she believed and what was her culture and her feeling, still believed it through the hard times and kept it as close to her. So she was great.
I think that, like I said, she was just a beautiful character, and it wasn't over the top witchy. It wasn't anything that you're expecting, everything that you just said. She was the heart of it. Like, for me, she was the mother. She was the grief. She was the soul. She was his other half. And like you said, after all this, like, it's working. We're still here, and we have a greater purpose. So yeah, this movie was, I was weeping, I was dancing, I was scared.
She
A
played
lot.
she played such an integral part at the juke joint. Even before the attack from the vampires, just the little bit of interactions with the two twins of how to run the business, on how to do these things, just such an integral piece throughout. But I guess we can switch. If you want, what did you guys think when we first got introduced to Remick, and how that
That's what I was
transpired?
going right to.
Because there was so much symbolism within this shot of him coming in outside that house, that there's just, what did you guys?
Can we talk about the vultures?
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
can I get in the vulture thing? I got idea for the vulture.
get in the vulture.
Vulture, yeah.
I really forgot. I will tag them on this because I want to clip this. I will tag the person who I saw this from. The vultures, you see the vultures 2 times. You see them right here when Remick is going down, and I forgot where you also see them at. But people where they also at?
So they were above the clan member's house that Remick first goes to and goes in. And then when the sun sets and all the people are going to the juke joint, they're flying above the juke joint as well.
So people are wondering if the vultures are the vampires. You know how vampires can transform? You know how they normally transform to like werewolves, bats, and everything. But also, they like to transform sometimes into birds. And there was wondering if it would be, if he, you know how he jumps down to the ground?
Yeah.
If he was a vulture and he transformed and he jumped down to the ground.
So I did hear, not about the vultures, but I heard a theory of it being kind of like a fallen angel kind of thing. Remick being kind of
I felt like he burned through the atmosphere, so
and like and has dropped, like kind of dropped out as the fallen angel type.
Mm-hmm.
And what I thought was pretty, not integral, but it made a big difference it made a big point in the story. So when they get to, when they knock on the door and they open it, and he looks over and sees the fucking Klansman outfit, you think, okay, they're going to be fine with him because of how he looks. No questions asked. And, he's like, they're chasing me. Engines are chasing me. Can you let me in? They didn't think anything of it. But then you get the actual native come up and say, we're looking for this guy. He's not what he seems. Have you seen him? They said, nope, get out. And he's like, well, he's not what he seems, but, may God be with you. And, of course, we know how that turned out.
Mm-hmm.
What I thought was crazy is that Remick is not the villain that you think he is. Because I thought, oh, shit, Klansman, he's fine. Like, I thought it was going to roll into that. But then him as a character, it was deep-rooted in Irish history. And the Irish were oppressed and killed and, patronized throughout their history over there. And so he had this, like, not like, he felt oppression and he knows what it is. So that's why he was like, I thought Ryan Coogler knows how to write a fucking villain. I'll just say that. I mean, when you look at his other ones, Neymar, fucking Killmonger, those, and then Remick, you kind of, I don't want to say you kind of want to root for them, but you understand where they're coming from.
Yeah, you see their point of view.
He's like, we can, and then of course he turns them, but he turns them because he don't fucking like them. He doesn't, he's not a part of that. And when they get to the juke joint, he gets drawn to there from Sammy's playing. And it just draws him there. And all he wants, he tries to play the, I'm cool, we're fine, I'm happy, we just want to play. And he has like this charm to him that I thought was really,
yes,
really well done by him as the actor and how it's written. But
so for the IMAX, the aspect ratio went up in this. So when Remick jumps down and you see the Indian vampire hunters come in on the horses, the full shot. I kind of would, and I'm gonna ask this question later on. It will be about like if they want to do other movies and stuff, but I'm just gonna put that in for those Indian vampire hunters. The best transition I think in this movie is this scene. Is this because she walks in, Remick is sitting there, he's all bloodied up, and the guy sits up and he's like, honey, I feel embarrassed. She's screaming, and he's like, shh, you don't need to be screaming now. The score from Ludwig to the full moon transition was one of the best shots with sound, I think, in transitions in this whole entire movie. It, to be honest, it gave me the Lost Boys feel when I watched that, because not only it gives you that scariness of Remick, I think of like what David does, but it's that hard like scores, like the dun dun dun, like a horror movie, like rock and roll.
Yeah,
but just see that full moon of like always symbolizes of when the full moon's out, werewolves are out, vampires are out, and everything. So it symbolizes that.
Yeah. And what I thought, and with your piggyback, or kind of going off of the the vultures, my interpretation of the vultures, because vultures symbolize a lot of different things throughout it, death, purity, also because not only do they hover above dead things. They clean it and they eat it and they clean the area and they preserve the area after it's done because they eat the carcass. And it's just like a circle of life thing. And it also, with it being the circle of life and like it goes back to, well, it kind of goes forward because you see those and he killed the Klan's members and whatnot. But then when it goes from the full moon and you see it goes to the juke joint, they're circling there. And I feel like those vampires are the vultures have a different meaning over the juke joint than they did over the thing, because there's a lot more, I don't want to say like subtext or metaphors above it, because if you notice when Remick is talking to them trying to get in, he's trying to say, no, we're just peaceful, we're just trying to come in and play. And then when you realize that they are vampires, he comes back and says, listen, we just want to set you free where you can live forever, no hate, no judgment. And just like that, all they want, and let's be real, with Black people in that time frame, in that area within Jim Crow, all they were subjugated to so many different oppressions and so many different things. All they wanted to do, and of course, I may not be the right verbiage on how to speak it, but they wanted the acceptance. They just wanted to be who they are and be left alone and be free. And that's in a lot of ways what Remick was trying to offer them. You can be free with us, no judgment, no nothing, and kind of like that full circle of what they wanted to do, but they were always subjugated to oppression and lesser than. Maybe I'm looking too deep, but there's a lot of stuff that I feel in turn has that.
I think it goes with that because especially when they're talking and after they play the song and then Smoke, because it seems like Stacko is going along with it, but Smoke's like, no, he knows there's something wrong. It's to the point of when they see Mary. And they're like, oh, we know what it is, but they're like, why is she in here? And Annie's like, she's family. But they know that she is part African American already.
Yeah.
But it's the thing of, if she's in there and she's white and you consider her family, why can't we? And it's Remick's thing of him being older Irish and going through that, because I think he's from the time of when the Irish, I think they used to be Catholic, and when they were getting transitioned, like being forced trans over to Christians, he was living during that time.
Yeah.
And he's in the time of now of segregation of the whites pushing the African Americans to a side, be like, we got this, you get this, but of course, even though they are free, they still get mistreated. And Remick's like, if you guys join us, like you're saying, like all the stuff you don't have to worry about. Like these two, I transitioned. And he mentions later on that he's the nephew to the head Klansman. And that they don't have to, and like him and even the wife said, oh yeah, we don't even are not that anymore. We're into love, we're into joining together.
Yeah. There's a lot of subtle messaging within this, and I felt like with what Remick wanted with Sammy, like when he got close enough, he's like, I want your stories, I want your music, I want your culture. And another thing with vultures, what the term culture vulture, they just want to use other people's culture and take it and have it to where they basically, it has a lot to do with music, of course, blues, hip hop, everything. Those all originated with Black people. But throughout history, it's been vultured from them and made it from other people create something off of what they originally created and claim it to be their own. That's another thing that the Vultures kind of reminded me of as well. So it
Yeah,
just,
that makes sense.
and I think a lot of this movie just, it's about keeping rooted in Black culture and representing Black culture and how important it is not only for Black people as a whole, but for everybody to know and have that representation. Like this, it's important, and it's needs to be preserved. If that kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get into once we know before even Remick and them arrive, I really want to talk about when they get the juke joint, when they start getting it going, when Sammy plays. Everyone once he plays that first thing, because he's like, it shows it, because he's like, I got a song, it's about my father, and he starts going to the Christian things of how his father is a Christian, but he wants to do a certain thing. But then that spills into him playing so good, because if you look at, because I love the shot of when Smoke's just sitting there and it shows, and it goes to Stack, and Stack pulls his toothpick out and he points at him because he knows that they got something special.
Yeah.
And then I think this is one of the greatest shots of this decade. Of this whole entire scene is the scene of when, and especially when Annie's thing comes out of said, it's our his father is somebody that says it, of if you're so good at your thing, or like you can do something good, so good that it brings the past and present out.
Yeah.
And then you see the past and present of especially like African American music, like you said, blues, rock and roll, like Jimi Hendrix, hip hop, and that whole entire like
We
music
saw it through
riff
the decades, yeah.
was so perfect with it,
Yeah,
with the
that
blues of 1930s.
that
Cool.
scene was my favorite scene of the whole movie. I kind of sat up and sat at the end of my edge of my chair, just with my hand on my chin, just going, wow.
I was
Because
dancing.
I was just like in awe, because, and not only, I don't know if you noticed this, but it also dealt with not only the past, present, and basically future of Black culture, but it also did with Asian culture as well, because there were ancient Asian representation within that shot too, because of the Chos being in there, and it just kind of had this whole feel of everything. And when it went from, the Southern blues, and then kind of drawn through, and then you get to the hip hop with the b-boy dancing, and just that whole scene and whole shot, absolutely mesmerizing.
And I think because no one can hear that whole, the only people that knows that is us in the theater. But I think there's one person that knows it. I think Remick heard that whole entire thing, and that's what really attracted him, because he knew that Sammy could pull from the past and present. Like you said, he's a
Yeah.
culture vulture. Not only he wants that 1930s blues, he wants the older music and the newer music, because he's going to live forever.
Yeah.
And he's
And
going to jump on the opportunity.
He said, I can't remember if it was when they were in the lake or before, he was just like, I want your stories. I want everything in your head. Because if you turn, then he's going to have that forever, and just kind of, so.
So after that, a whole entire like music scene, then Mary goes out to talk to Remick and them, because, like you were saying, Goobs, they were talking about the coin, and it really shows them of when Remick and them talking, because they put the Irish coin. No, they don't even know about the Irish coins yet. They want to know what money is, because of course Smoke wants real money. Stacks like just ask them what money they got.
Yeah.
So Mary goes out there, she asks them about the money, and Remick pulls out the old Irish coins. And she's like, "I've never seen this before." So she knows there's something up right there. But I think that she really knew there was something when he's like, "I feel pain in you. I feel sorrow in you." And this shows in the trailer, and I think this is a great shot of when she's like, I know I lost my mother, but I don't need help. And he's like, "Yes, you need help. Yes, you do." And you see his eyes light up and that drool just start going down his face. And then she knows she's really screwed. Then she's like, "I gotta go back."
Yeah.
Then this is what I find out, first of all, that the fucking vampires are flying. Because I'm like, okay, he's going to just like run up to her. No, that dude just I'm like, what? I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This is when I found out the fucking vampires are flying.
But you want to talk about another great music drop? Is when the girl that Sammy has a crush on, when she starts singing,
Yeah.
and Mary just walks right back in there. Fucking
Yeah.
great, because Mary's the vampire at that moment.
Yeah.
And the interaction of her and
She was
Cornbread,
hot.
or her and Cornbread, let me back in there. And he's like, okay, you just like, I'm thinking, damn, Cornbread, you just gonna let anybody in, I guess.
Yeah.
I fucking love Cornbread, by the way.
Yeah.
He was one of my favorites.
Cornbread made one of the dumbest decisions, though, I could say.
Well, yeah.
And he didn't
the
get
big
back.
John guy.
Yeah. But the sad part is he didn't get back home to get his pecker sucked.
That's what I was thinking by the time it is.
Poor feller.
Like, damn it.
God, I was really rooting for him. She was down.
Yeah. But now we're pretty much at when the vampires pop off. And I love the design of these vampires, by the way. I just quick and easy. I loved the vampires. I love that Ryan Coogler didn't try to reinvent the wheel on vampires, as far as like the tropes, garlic, steak, silver, inviting them in. I love that. I know some people, I'm sure, didn't like it because, I mean, he's such a great inventive storyteller, but I love that it just stuck with the classic roots of vampires.
That's also what I loved, because that's always my complaint with vampire movies, is they change the rules. There are rules for a reason sometimes.
Yeah.
Not always. Sometimes rules are meant to be broken. But when it comes to like how a creature exists, you should stick to the rules, because like that's what makes it fun. So the fact that this was such a unique take on vampires, there's no other movie like this.
No.
There's no other movie like this, not even vampire movie. Like, it's its own thing. And so for them to have, like stuck to the traditional classic vampire, like that tale, and I love how literal they were with it. They walked you through it. You could have watched this movie not knowing a damn thing. You could, what the fuck's a vampire? I don't know what that is. And you'll learn about vampires. You learn everything about it.
Yeah.
It was very literal without being hokey. It was perfect.
Yes. Yeah. I really enjoyed
it. It made me a vampire movie lover, I guess. This one, at least.
Right.
I think this shows how good Coogler is as a filmmaker. Yeah. Not only from his film type and like shooting the camera, it's his preparation. He studied it, like what we were saying, like for Robert Johnson and all that connected to Sammy and just the vampires. He knew what vampires was, and he didn't change it up, like you guys said. That's the one thing when the movie finished that I loved about it. The the steak to the heart, the garlic, everything was precise about it, and it made it even more creepy. It even made it more creepy because it wasn't change up. These are your old-fashioned vampires.
Yeah.
You want to know when I'm about crying in this movie?
Hmm.
When of course Mary talks to Stag, takes him to the closet. But before this happens, I love when Smoke's like, Sammy, go get your cousin. He's like, okay. He goes to the door. He opens the door. They fucking in there. Then they walk and he walks back and he's like, I can't get Stack. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, he's busy in there and he's like, opens the door. But at that point, Mary's like killing him and already bit him. And you see the blood ever.
Yeah.
This shows a sign of what me and my brother would do. If my brother was attacked, I would be like, fucking Smoke rather pulling the gun out and just shooting their ass.
Yeah, it showed another level of their relationship and the protection that they had over him, for sure.
And of course, did you ever see the trailer for this, Lyndsey?
Mm-mm.
The part where she's like,
Wait. Yes, it played before one of the like hard eyes or something, I think. But I think I tried to like not pay attention. I was still like scrolling on my phone, so kind
the
of.
part of when she's like, oh yeah, we're gonna kill you all.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck. And she just like runs out. She's like, just like takes off sprint. I'm thinking, damn, none of y'all go just stop this girl from heading outside so you can get answers. Then of course they lock Stack in there because Smoke don't want to let him out. He don't want to take him outside because that's his brother. Even though he might turn, he wants his brother. He's not going to leave him. Then they're arguing and everything, and then Stack comes back. He comes back as a fucking vampire. Oh my god, the knife through the door scared the shit out of me.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be eyeball stuff.
Me too.
I thought damn, Sammy's go look in there and he's going, yeah.
Even the second time, I was like, please don't happen.
But then poor Sammy just gets put through hell because Stack knocks down the door. He just like pushes him. Sammy's like, under there. Runs out the door. Doesn't have to do anything. And after that, they're talking about vampires. And because what was the thing that Annie was talking about? Because before vampires, she was talking about something else.
Oh,
and like,
the hex. The hate, yeah.
Yeah, because of course she thought it was the hate at first, then she realized later on, because I think the bite in the neck, everything, that they're actually vampires. And the dude at the bar, they think he is bitten, so they throw him outside, right? And this is when I think one of my favorite scenes comes on in this movie. Because Sammy and Smoke go out there, they throw the body out there, right? And Sammy's like, I hear something. And you look down the road because they let everybody leave at first. I thought at first when they let everybody left, I'm like, everyone, they're fucked. I'm like, you got 4 vampires out there, or 5, including Stag now, and they're going to turn everybody. Then they just look, and you see Remick singing with every fucking vampire dancing around him. Everyone's a vampire now. And this is what I think really pushes the culture of the Irish into this, because one, it shows that they're actually Irish. The dude knows how to do the fucking jig out of nowhere. And I think it brings that culture together because you got everybody out there.
This little dancey motherfucker.
Right.
Especially these African Americans going in with the Irish culture, and it's the combination of what Remick wants, of them joining as a family no matter what. And Cornbread already got blasted in the face, so when he's dancing on his big ass cheeks, just like hanging out.
I love that part.
Yeah.
I love that scene. They're like, where are you at? He's like, I thought you were taking piss. He's like, man, I take a shit too.
Yeah. I felt like the vampire design was great. How they kept it to the book, great. Like the rule book, not literal book. And just every ounce of metaphors and symbolism, it was all done perfectly. And then, of course, you could break down it even deeper. But, I mean, everything that Ryan Coogler does has some sort of subtext to it. And it just... This is a movie you have to experience in the theater. Like, it just... if you can...
times,
yeah,
if you
multiple.
can.
If your name's Lyndsey. But it just... And I felt the climax of this... I mean, you get the action once that lady, why can't I remember her name? Mrs. Cho, once she decides that she's going to open her mouth, and she only does this because she realizes her family's at risk, not about anybody else.
It's this or her daughter. So
She puts-
come on in, motherfuckers.
She puts herself, even though Smoke and Stack have been riding with her for years, she puts her own self-worth and her own self in front of everybody else, even though they were riding with her. So that's another layer which kind of you could go into. But once she says, "Come in, motherfucker," god damn, I was not expecting it to go that hard.
I mean, I jumped out of my seat. I was like, oh my God, here we fucking go.
I got a good question for you too.
Yeah.
Do you, if that was Bo, do you think he would have done that?
No.
I think he wouldn't. I think he has a too close friendship with both of the brothers. I think he would think of, even though his daughter's out there, I think he knows that they won't get the daughter and they can wait till the sun is rising and they can go get the daughter while she's worried right there. Because when you see the beginning, like her relationship with both the brothers is kind of rocky a little bit. Like they know each other, but she's kind of a little bit skeptical about both of the brothers still.
She just seems kind of sick of their shit.
Yeah. And when she's
like, I love you, but I'm sick of your shit.
Yeah. when she said, "Come in, motherfucker," I was in a theater full of people, and I was like, "This bitch!" Like I said it out loud by accident.
Yeah. Oh my God, I was stressing.
I was so mad.
Did the theater laugh?
No, luckily it wasn't. I didn't like yell it out, but I was like, "This bitch," and the people next to me kind of were like, and like they acknowledged. So I said it loud enough by accident, but it just like I was so wrapped up in everything, and then that happened.
I love her mixed reaction though to that, because you see him past to me, he just turns around, he's like,
yeah.
He fucking knows. He's like, "Oh, it's fucking go time."
Yeah, and I will say though, during the ending bar scene, or when they get into the juke joint, you already kind of knew what was going to happen to a lot of the people, especially why can't I think Annie. And I was just like, because there was always that conversation about, if I get bit, you stick me before.
We have a bigger mission here.
Yep, and that was to see their child who had passed, and that shit broke me.
Yeah, I was sobbing.
Yeah, and then the ending lake scene with the moonlight and everything was just absolutely fucking beautiful. And then tell me this though, I wasn't expecting Remick to have those fucking long ass damn, like where did those come from? Like where did those come from when he slashed his face and everything? But I love the fact that when he hit him with the guitar and silver in the face, like I loved everything. And then this whole time, fucking Smoke and Stack are fighting in the damn juke joint, so you don't know what's happening throughout the whole thing, and the tension is building so great. And then when he gets him with the freaking stick from behind and they come out. It was just, this was a fucking perfect movie.
Okay, two things I want to add.
Go
That
ahead.
mojo bag had fucking work in it because how the fuck does he get off by those vampires?
Well,
Just that rhythmic.
It's
well,
his woman's love.
when they were fighting, that mojo bag dropped in the face, and or was it the mojo bag or the fucking metal? I can't remember, but it touched the vampire and started smoking, and got Stack off of him. So it like everything was holding on to your culture, your beliefs throughout this whole movie, and it'll keep you where you should be and keep you safe.
And
But
You stick to you. You
yes,
stick to you.
this whole entire end scene, from when they are prepared and you see the camera back up. For you guys, the camera backed up. For me, so for a lot of the IMAX stuff, it just went from your Panavision to your big screen. This one expanded. This is the one shot Ryan Coogler wanted to expand. So it expands to sit that. So you see the whole entire theme of like you drawn into this from beginning all the way to Remick dies at the very end when the sun comes up. That whole entire scene of right there, but also when they're in the river, and when especially when he's telling Sammy, and the score's going loud, so you're right, you're immersed into it with the screen, with the sound, and everything. But when he tells Sammy, I want I want what's in your head, I want your memories, I want your music, I want everything about you, hit really well. But that twister of fire
yeah,
on a scene, and when Sammy's scared and Stack is holding him, no, Smoke is holding him. Great ass scene, especially with that clear 4K quality on the IMAX screen.
yeah,
Chef's kiss.
yeah. And then I like how he said, "You go back to your," and then of course the sun comes up and everything. They did what vampires do. They all burst, and it was just such a great way to end that part of it. And that's when I thought the story was going to end. You know what I mean? He was going to drive back, and he gets back and everything there. But the ending scene where the KKK comes back to the bar, because we realize that was the Grand Wizard that sold them the place, and that was their old freaking, basically where they
Slaughterhouse.
they slaughter. And so they were thinking, okay, they're going to be able to do what they need to do. And I can't remember when it was, but in the movie they talked about the little trunk. And did you bring the trunk inside the juke joint? And they're like, no, we left it out there. And we're like, what is this trunk that they're talking about? Well, we find out what's in the trunk. And remember, Smoke is a World War I veteran, and he's a soldier, and he mentioned that multiple times throughout the movie. And this ending scene was just the perfect way to end the movie. It was so good.
When he used the sniper rifle at first, I'm thinking he's going to use the Tommy gun because it shows in the trailer and him sitting on the thing. Oh no, he pulls out that sniper rifle, starts picking them off one by one. I'm thinking, holy shit. But then he goes with the Tommy gun and just pulls it, and that grenade.
Oh yeah.
He's like, throws it, but of course he gets fatally shot right there.
I mean, I'm just gonna say this: anytime that I can see Nazis, KKK, all that, anytime I could see them get obliterated, I'm cool with.
I love watching people who have it coming get fucked up. And that's exactly what happened. And it was amazing.
Oh, and the IMAX right there. IMAX shot right there too. That's what made it great too, because it has especially that shot of him with the Tommy gun, and it shows in the trailer too of him just holding it and it just going
Yeah.
off. Holy fucking shit!
Yeah. And the last thing that I want to mention about that scene, when it's all said and done, he sits down and looks over, and there's his wife and his baby.
Mm-hmm.
And just the full circle. I wept so hard.
Me too.
And you don't that's why I said this isn't just a horror movie. This is everything you could think of. And when have you laughed, cried, danced, and sang throughout a horror movie before?
Through a horror movie, through a vampire movie, the fuck?
Yeah.
The whole entire scene, I like. She's like, you can hold him. He's like, wait 1 second. The dude's still alive, and he just blasts him with the gun. He's like, okay, I can have the baby now.
Yeah. But all in all, this was just a fucking perfect movie.
I love it.
From head to toe, start to finish. I mean, if you look hard enough, you could probably see something that you would change, but I can't. I can't think of anything that I would change throughout this movie.
I don't know if I said this already, but like it could have been longer and I still would have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like
That's
I
another
would
thing.
have.
The pacing is awesome in this. I think
Yeah,
this
I
is the
was
best
not
pacing
bo-
to a
and
movie ever.
I have extreme ADHD. We've talked about this a billion times. You have to rope me in right away. And this did that, and I was not bored one time. I was in it.
Yeah.
You lived this movie. You were in it. Love.
So but of course the ending is what we already talked about at the beginning of when Sammy goes back. He rejects what his father says, go on to his music career. Then to our first of the two post-credit scenes, our mid-credit scene, which is 3 minutes long. So I want you two to break that down real quick.
I'm not going to break them down. I want you to do that.
Okay, so at this time, this goes to 1920. This is how much symbolism in this movie. This goes to 1992 Chicago. Speaking of that, that's where Stack and Smoke came from. So this is 60 years in, and you can tell Sammy because of the scars on the face. He's an older man. He has a great music career going on. He's in this club, and the show ends, and he sits down at a bar, and one of the guys comes in, and he tells him these people have some money. They want to see you. And if they give us the money, could they come see you? He's like, yeah. Then he's like, y'all can come in, and I think he knew right when he said y'all can come in, and he opens the door, and Mary and Stack, they did not die. Stack did not kill him. Smoke did not kill Stack. And he's like, oh fuck. But they sit down and they talk because I think he thought they won't come in and straight kill him and turn him. And Stack said, Smoke made me a promise. He's like, if I lived, I could not mess with you for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept up with that promise. And this is how good it is with the vampires. Stack sniffs Sammy. And he's like, you got just a little bit of time left. He's like, do you want to be turned? He's like, do you want to have a good, longer music career? And Sammy's like, no, I don't. And I think that's when right there he knows what his brother was talking about of let Sammy live, because I think it's the whole entire thing of this dude, and especially when Sammy says, every night I get nightmares about that night. But it's like, before that was the best day of my life. I think that's what Stack knew, that he should just leave Sammy alone, that him and Mary should go on.
Yeah. Because that was the last night they were actually free.
And like Stack said, he's like, that's the last day, the best day of my life too. He's like, that's the last day I seen my brother. That's the last day I seen the sun.
Yep.
Then the next post. Oh, do you guys have anything about that before I go to the next post credit? So the
I thought
next
it
post
was great.
credit is Sammy singing the church, singing oh, what's the song that he was singing?
This little light of mine.
So this is why I think the crossroads thing comes in. So he's sitting there, right, and he's playing that guitar, and I think he just finds out that he's that good. And he then after he looks up and he's looking at God, right? And some people are wondering if he made the deal with the devil. And he's looking up at God, and he's like, I know, even though I've probably done this, he's like, he still looks up there for guidance. Even though I think he made the deal if he did. But before that, I got a couple questions for y'all. Or like at least one question. Do you guys think that there will be something else involved with this later on down the road?
Like like another Sinners?
Sequel, prequel, spinoff.
Do I think there will be? I don't know, but I would love for there to be.
What about you,
Yeah.
Goobs?
I think there's a lot of ways that they could do it.
Hmm.
Should they do it? That's another question.
I don't know if
But
it's would necessarily make sense, but I'd watch it.
yeah, because
So right now, Kugler said he probably don't want to. He wants this as a standalone story, but this is just the beginning. This is how much money is made, everything. I think because we gotta go through that, we gotta go through the streaming numbers, physical release sales. But there's a couple stories I want them to tell. I want to have a origin story for Remick. I want to know his whole entire origin story of early Irish and what happened all over there. The other is Remick, a little bit involved with Remick, but it's the Indian vampire hunters.
yeah,
The other one I want to talk about is if Sammy did make the deal with the devil, the crossroads. I want to know about the whole entire story. If he did make that deal with the devil, like beforehand, like what was that? And if they do go in to the crossroads demon. The other one is a sequel. Those are like spin-offs and prequels. This one's a sequel. They're in Chicago, 1992, right? What's big in the LA in the 90s at this time?
hip hop.
LA riots
Oh,
during like all the civil rights movement and stuff.
well,
Why don't you put Mary? Like if some people think of like a prequel of like the whole 60 years of Mary and stacked together, but what about if you put them in the LA riots? And especially with the hip hop coming up for like Ice Cube, NWA, and all of them coming up in the business and that whole entire thing.
yeah. Like I said, there's definitely potential to make a story. You could follow Mary and uh, Smoke, but my thing is, everybody has been begging for original ideas, tired of sequels and franchises. We finally get this big, like, magnum opus of a film that's going to transcend decades, and people are already talking about a sequel,
Right.
or wanting a sequel. It's like, I get it. Trust me, I would love more lore behind this,
More is more is more.
but
I'm that kind of girl, but
I just don't know if it would be necessary. Would I watch it? Yes. But my thing is, everybody wants original stories and is tired of sequels and franchises. I would love this for it to be its own thing for sure. But that's
It
just
would
me.
I feel
like
that.
it's cool as original, but if they did, but it was going to take time because if I had to share one piece of news this week, it's involved with Googler. People asked his next project. He has confirmed to people that he is rebooting the X Files, and that's the next thing he's working on right now.
Yeah.
So you got the whole entire time he's working with the X Files of how this movie's doing good. If this movie, like, if people don't go see it in the theaters, like, if this, like, especially once this thing hits Max, where this is a Warner Brothers picture, how good is it going to do on there and everything?
Oh yeah.
because he's going to take time to build that show for X-Files because he wants to reboot that the right way. And Coogler does take his time with projects.
Yeah.
But do you guys have anything else about Sinners or Ryan Coogler or anything?
Just go see the movie. Support it.
5 stars.
5
Go
stars.
see it, darling. Do you watch that guy? I can't
I've
think
seen
of what
him.
his
Yeah.
name is.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to add, I think this is
Vampire
going to
movie.
get
5 stars.
I think this is going to get nominated for Best Director with Coogler. I think this is going to get nominated Best Picture. This is going to get nominated for Best Score by Ludwig. Best Original Song, I think Miles is going to get it.
Yeah.
Best
This is an award movie.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Best
For sure.
Supporting Actor and Best Actor for Michael B. Jordan and Miles Cannon. I think Miles Cannon can win, actually.
Yeah.
I think Annie could be Best Supporting Actress. I don't know if there's a lead actress in this movie.
No.
Cinematography, yes. Costume design. These costumes are really good in this movie.
Yeah.
Sound design, I think this has some great sound design, and
Yeah.
there's one other movie that's out right now that could probably beat it, but this is up there with best sound design of the year also.
Yeah.
But I think that's about it for Sinners for us. So, Lyndsey, you want to close this out?
Thank you for listening. Please go click all of our buttons. We love you. Okay, bye.
And I got one thing to add on the closeout.
Yeah.
If you guys have anything that you want us to cover, what types of content you want to see, leave it in the comments. Let us know. Let us know what you guys
Give
dig
me a
from
call.
us. Let us know what you guys dig from us. But other than that, like, share, comment, follow all of us, follow the podcast page. Love you all.
Give us 5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
Okay, see you guys next Tuesday.
See you next
See
Tuesday.
you next Tuesday.